Hey everyone, welcome back to City Skylines and the Aurelia city. We made some serious progress in the last episode. We did the landscaping with the lakes, filled all the empty spots in the high density district next to the airport, and finished the first public transport hub finally. Today I would like to also make some serious progress with this edge of the city. We will continue with the landscaping. I'm going to add another lake, and finally we are going to start building the suburb around the underground depot. Let's go. I always wanted to have a big residential area in this place, and I also had for a really long time a pack of these residential block apartment buildings. Now they are very nice looking. They come in many different sizes in terms of height, but also in different footprints, as you can see. So I'm just placing all of these different shapes of buildings in here and kind of experimenting with the different geometries, because I really want to play with that quite a lot. This is not going to be the last place where I'm going to use these buildings, because they are just way too interesting to only appear a couple of times in the city, right? But they are going to appear only in this district or this region, because it would kind of be looking weird if I placed them somewhere else. Maybe like one instance of it in some sort of a clipped block might be fine, but I really don't want to do that. I'm just going to use them like this, separated from the neighboring buildings, and kind of place them alone in some of these more open spaces. Even though this is still going to be high density, it's not going to be as high density as some of the places that we have seen, for example, last time, right? So these are going to be just individual buildings placed in these blocks, and there are going to be some open spaces between them. That's what I'm trying to say. So I also made those buildings slightly darker with the building repainter. I'm not even sure how it's called, the mod that I had for a really long time. Kind of forgetting the names of some of the mods that I'm even using here. But you could have seen that the buildings were a bit too bright for the overall look of the city. So I just toned it down slightly. It's looking much better. And even the grass on the roofs definitely needed to have a slightly darker color, because it was kind of too yellow, I'd say. Anyway, also doing a lot of this infrastructure, and I didn't really comment it or at all about the parking spots or the underground parking garages that I placed underneath the highway in here. Now this is of course the highway that goes over this valley, originating on tunnels on both ends of the valley, and it has this interchange right in the center. It's the interchange that we built some time ago. Now the interchange area was intentionally made kind of compact, because I don't really want to just make this place look like some American downtown or something with lots of highways, lots of very pronounced infrastructure. So I really wanted to have that highway very compact. It could have been built maybe more compact, but this is good enough. But still, there is some space around it or underneath it that might have some use for this general district. So that's exactly why I did those underground garages in there. I had that building for the underground garages forever. I remember that I was even considering placing it in that kind of a medium density suburb area behind the shopping mall, if you remember that. It's the place right next or in front of the island city that we built such a long time ago, that many of you probably weren't even here back in the day. But I definitely remember that I had that underground parking garage back then, and I wanted to use it there. But it's only possible to use that on a completely flat terrain. It's kind of a large structure, so it can only be placed on completely flat terrain. And this place was perfect for it, right underneath the highway. I also made the pillars later so that it's going to all fit. It's not going to interfere with the roads. So it's actually looking nice. It's filling the place very nicely. But anyway, enough of that. What's going on over here? As you can see, I'm building an interchange. And where exactly is this? So this is just a regular trumpet interchange. It's going from I'm not even sure how to say it. The highway that doesn't go through, right? The one that is basically here on the left right now, that's the highway that goes from the valley that we have seen before, right? The one with the compact interchange. Now it goes into a tunnel. It goes out of the tunnel, and it goes to this interchange afterwards, right? So this is an interchange that's completely outside of the city, pretty much. but it was needed to just complete it. This is the end station, like a temporary end station for the tracks, for the railway. Again, that's the railway that goes to that depot area hub. And I'm just going to all hide that and kind of make this area better, because this is the very edge of the, not even the city, but just the built area on the map, right? So I really wanted to have this completely done, and you're going to see in the end cinematics just how much we finished the edge of the city in this area. We finished it quite a lot, spoiler alert, but we finished it quite a lot. So these are just little parts of that process, right? So I'm just using a lot of the intersection marking tools, the node controller, and also the new highways that I have been using on the live streams. Actually, you haven't seen these highways in any of the videos. I don't quite remember the name right now. I think they are the American highways. No, they're not. I'm not exactly sure. I'm probably going to try to link them in the video description if you're interested, because they are very, very nice highways. They only have like one segment or one network for both directions, which is very nice. This is what I was talking about with that video about the map changes, that a lot of these highways that are going outside of the city, I want to do as a single network for both directions, because it's going to save a lot of the limits for the networks and nodes in the game. So that's exactly why I'm doing that. And these highways actually don't look bad at all. I think I might be even using them in places that are going to be visible. Anyway, we are moving away from that again. I'm not really keeping up with the time-lapse today, but as you can see, I did some landscaping for the third lake. Now, this lake is, or needed to have some changes to the infrastructure around here. If you remember, long time ago, we did that six-way, I think it was, interchange right here in the corner of the airport. And I built those two roundabouts somewhat symmetrically on the sides of the interchange. Now, the one roundabout was kind of just going nowhere, really. And that's the roundabout that I deleted here, because I decided that I don't really want to expand the city in that direction. Kind of had a lot of plans for that roundabout, but eventually I decided that the city is just going to end much earlier, closer to the center, let's say. So I got rid of that roundabout, and the road that was going from it, or to it, from the interchange, was basically changed to this causeway between the lakes, right? And also I extended the lake pretty much all the way to the taxiway of the airport, so that the highway that was going to this six-way interchange now needs to be on a bridge. Another piece of infrastructure that's very important to finish here is the railway to this cargo hub on the airport, because that's something that we haven't done at all. And to be completely honest here, I was considering not even building this, because I was just thinking that, whatever, I'm just not going to build it. It's just going to be like an unfinished project, because when I was planning this medium, or most likely high density suburb, I did not incorporate that railway into the plans of it at all, right? So finally I decided that we are going to do the railway, but it's just going to go on the sides of it, and it's pretty much not even going to change the overall shape of that area anyway. So it's just really going to go right on the edges of the area, of the valley, and then it's going to go underneath those futuristic looking residential places that you can see in the right side there, and that is just going to go somewhere. I haven't really planned that out yet, but it's obviously aiming towards that industrial zone, so there has to be some kind of a connection later. In here, I'm just trying to position the railway. In here, it's going to go underneath into some sort of a tunnel. So this road is just going to go above it. Yeah, switching it to the tunnel version right here. And I really wanted to just have it not parallel to any of these roads, to make it appear that it's just not belonging into this area, and it's really going to form the edge of it. I'm later going to even do some landscaping on this side of this valley to really emphasize that it is the edge of the area. There are going to be a couple of buildings on the other side of the tracks, but those are just going to be a couple of buildings that are going to be kind of on the hill of the valley, or on the cliff side of the valley. So just to make something more interesting. But it's like I said, the railway is just going to be the edge. And I'm kind of glad that I finally or eventually did it. I'm not sure if I'm later going to put like functioning cargo trains on it, because there is no cargo station in the cargo hub on the airport. There doesn't really need to be any. But we might do it, because I do have. I'm now not exactly sure if I do have functional versions of the futuristic cargo trains. I hope I do, because I would really like to see them go, in some places of the city. So by the time this video is out, I suppose that the Alterngrad industrial video was already released. That's actually going to be released today when I'm making this video. That's kind of interesting. So you're going to see, you have already seen the cargo trains in Alterngrad. So, we need to kind of have something similar going in Aurelia, even though the trains are going to be completely different, because I have those cargo trains that you have already seen actually, but only as props in the rail yard of the industrial zone some long time ago. So probably many of you don't remember that. This is something very important that I really wanted to expand the public transport hub with, and that's this pedestrian connection. Because it is kind of clear that if you want to, go to this depot area as a commuter, let's say, and you want to just go to the areas on the other side of this main road, the one that the tram has, so you need to just circle around the entire depot area, and that's not exactly going to be very fast. So I decided to put this bridge or overpass in here and incorporate it right into the train station building. That's not exactly easy, but it's actually nice that I had to rework all the pedestrian connections inside the station building. If you remember, I was talking about this, that when I used Move It on the paths in the station, it kind of broke all the so-called pink paths, which are just invisible connections inside of buildings, all the buildings that you have pretty much, especially stations. So I had to make my own there, which means that I now need to, or I can be able to connect to them, with some different roads outside. So that's exactly what I did. I took the pedestrian path and I connected it right inside of the building to the second floor of the buildings, because there are like 3 floors. The one when you enter the building, then you take the escalator. There's like a very small looking escalator inside the building, and into that second floor. So that's exactly where I connected the bridge to. And I also put like a prop door on the side so that it's not going to appear that people are just going through the doors, right? So that's kind of nice looking. That's exactly what I wanted to have in this area. People are using it. That's the most important part. People are really using it, because we have a lot of places that people can, go to using that path. So that's looking nice. Now, speaking of places that people can go to using that path, we are finally building this. I'm not really sure if it's the suburb. I guess it is. It's more like a lower medium density end of this entire suburb area, and it's right on the borders of the lakes. I decided to use some. I'm not even sure if these are low density buildings. Probably, yeah. So I'm just using them on that like a slightly twisting path there, and using those red brick roads to kind of symbolize that those are the dead end roads that cars should not be going that fast on, and just making them look nicer. I think I'm later going to switch them for a different red brick road that also has the parallel parking on the side with slightly different colors. So you're probably going to see that in the cinematics. It's going to look very good. These are the smaller, buildings, areas that I was talking about. This is the only thing that I'm going to build on the opposite side of the railway, and it's kind of elevated above the normal place of the valley, let's say, because it needs to overcome the railway. I don't really want to build a crossing there, and it's just going to look nice. I'm later going to improve some of the landscaping there. So need to fill some of these blocks, or all of these blocks, with buildings. I really didn't know how to do this. I didn't really want to bother with it too much, so I placed only a couple of buildings here and there, mostly facing the main street, and the inner blocks, sometimes open with some details like trees and stuff. But otherwise, this place, I was actually kind of surprised that this place eventually started looking a bit American, maybe. You have that straight going main street with some of the slightly taller commercial buildings usually, and all the residential buildings are in some of these blocks, around it. They are not exactly those uniform grid blocks that you might see there. But I don't know, it kind of gave me that feeling that this place might be actually looking a bit more orderly, like some of the patterns that you might see in some American cities. But it's obviously not. American city, people often ask me where Aurelia is in real life. It's really nowhere, right? It's just supposed to be wherever you want it to be, something like that, right? Anyway, continuing with some of these builds, that's the block that I kind of was really satisfied with, actually, because I placed that red building so that it's nicely fitting that curvature of the what is that? That's the tram, the light rail? Well, it's actually not the light rail, it's just the tram. By the way, it's going to have different vehicles later. That's going to be the line that goes to the island in the river, so that's going to have the rail vehicles later. So that's not exactly a final thing. Also, starting to build some of these hiking paths that people can just use to go up these mountains. This ridge here is a lot longer than the one next to the airport, so the hiking path in here is just going to be much longer and much better to just walk on, I suppose. You can either start it at here, but later in some coming episodes, I'm also going to build another cable car. Spoiler alert again, but just a tiny one. I'm going to build another cable car that's going to go up this mountain in some different place, and people can just use all the public transport really to get around here and just go on a trip in the mountains. And it's also going to have a very nice overview of the city. So starting some final detailing on this area, especially on the edges of the lake. So pretty much the standard procedure, putting a lot of willow trees, doing some of the decals here and there, and just making sure that all of it is nicely done. Doing lots of trees on the side of the mountain here, on the side of the valley, obviously, and also kind of hiding the railway. I'm also going to do a lot of lines of trees to really separate the railway from the surrounding area. Putting like a school in here. Also, I think I put a high school right next to that red building that I placed on the side of the tram tracks that I was talking about. So that's also attracting a lot of pedestrians, really. So this place overall is going to have a lot of people walking all around. And the public transport hub that we did, 2 episodes back, is really going to be super busy. And this place is not even done, and it's already super busy. So that's going to be cool. This is something that I was struggling with a lot, because I haven't built in Aurelia like proper playgrounds or something, or sports grounds. I already did like a couple of them here and there, but not really. I think I built in some of the medium areas behind the shopping mall. I did those castles, playground castles, but that's just a structure I don't want to repeat all the time. So I went into the workshop and I downloaded some new stuff, and those are the playground props that I placed there, the one with the colored circles beneath them. They already come as a building with all the props on top of them, so I don't really need to pay that much attention to detail my own. I can just use all the different variations that come with some sort of a pack, I think. So that's just super nice that I can do that. It's working perfectly. When I was recording the cinematics for this episode, I was using the version of the Traffic Manager that is having that thing when people are just going through parking lots, kind of flying through the air in cars. So it was kind of difficult to record cinematics for especially that playground, because for some bizarre reason, a lot of tourists were going to that playground, and it's usually the tourists who don't really obey the laws of physics with cars. So, that was kind of difficult to record, but eventually I managed. So that's nice. Anyway, doing some of the detailing in front of these buildings or inside of these blocks with trees, again, lots of trees, and just finalizing the place. This is definitely not something that you could have seen in the downtown of Aurelia. I'm not really building all that vertical, maybe apart from the depot, but that's kind of necessary. I really needed to have some sort of contrast places here and there so that the city is just going to look more believable, let's say, even though it might not exactly be what you are used to with Aurelia. But that's obviously going to change when we are going to go back to the downtown, because that's not done either. Anyway, transition before and after. So this is the huge edge of the city that we have finished by today. And as you can see, it really is starting to look like this place is getting done, finally. All that top of the screen there is completely done. That's the third lake there, all the trees, the landscaping was just completed. I really like how it's all finally coming together in this area. When I first started to do something in here, for example, that little highway interchange, I really did not imagine that this place is ever going to be finished. And, we are finally getting there. So that's really, really nice. I think I made a mistake with the last episode. I said that there are going to be 2 more episodes after the last one, but I actually made a mistake there. It's going to be 2 episodes after this one, right? So 2 episodes after this one, episode 76, if this is 74, I guess, is going to be the one where we are going to finally complete this entire area, and that static camera angle that you could have seen for the before and after shots is going to be completely filled with all the buildings in front of it, right? So that's going to be really nice. I haven't really decided what to do next, if I should continue the places right next to here, all the low density stuff, or maybe we are going to go back to the downtown so we can have some change. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. But anyway, I think I can only spoil that, spoiler alert again, that I have been keeping all of those before and after shots, and when the time comes, I'm going to make them into some one video. So that should be really nice looking. Some kind of an overall shot of this area to give you a better picture of this second half of the city and where it's going, really. You can see that the airport is still kind of oversized compared to the size of the city. That's not really improving much, even when we are finishing the city, but that's just how it is. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching today's episode, because that's going to be all. If you liked it, you can put a thumbs up underneath it, share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and support the channel by clicking the join button below. And you can also catch me live streaming on Twitch on Sundays. Thank you for watching again, take care, and goodbye.